But in the meantime, while we're waiting, Paul, you watched a new show.
Yes, Fallout.
Something about falling out.
So, yeah. So those of you who are out there, that's the hot thing right now on Amazon. I can say without qualification that it's better than Rings of Power.
I somehow think that's not a very high bar to
No, it's not.
pass, Paul.
So, so just I don't want to be your typical reviewer. So I'm basically do the first episode of some series. I do my green light, yes or no. I put on my former network executive hat and I look at the entrails that they have brought me. I pretend it's a VHS tape. I stick it into my Mitsubishi 36-inch monitor, CRT monitor that weighs 400 pounds, and then watch the pilot and I make notes and
And I
I
just want to
tell
say
the
that's
people.
a really high-end set for the day. I mean, that's a sign of success.
It
Having that
was
kind of, I mean, that's a chick magnet right there.
back in 1990. That was the primo set, the
Exactly.
36-inch Mitsubishi.
Yeah, I mean, 8K TVs go get bent. You ain't got nothing on that.
No, nothing.
Oh, it's 480p, actually 480i glory.
Now, do you remember that monitor?
Yeah, I do.
It was the best. That was
It was, I
considered.
know. I was just a kid then, but even as a kid, I was a wannabe cinemaphile, and I dreamt of having a laser disc and that monitor.
Yep.
I never got either.
You were deprived. You were
Yeah,
deprived.
well, again, I was a kid. I wasn't even in my teens, but I had hi-fi magazines.
You know what? Well, see, we have a lot of things in common. So what I try to do is try to combine a review along with what I would be looking for in a show. So a show could be crappy, but certain elements of it would allow me to green light it as an executive in charge of production, for for things that have not necessarily aesthetic reasons. As I often joke, television does not have a quality button; it only has a volume button, volume knob. So it could be the producers. Maybe Aaron Spelling is producing it, and that he's got a fantastic track record. And even though what you're seeing on the screen is crap, you're going to go, well, I'm going to green light it because it's Aaron Spelling.
It does have a sharp button, though. I messed with it. It didn't work, though.
It doesn't make it sharper. So there's many different reasons for green lighting a show, and the things that you look for. Number one is the premise. If it's an easy to understand premise right off the bat, then that's you're fast out of the gate, right? A-Team is a high concept premise. Then the other thing that you might do is add a old movie star like James Garner for Rockford Files. So in television, you're always trying to come out of the gate fast, and then hopefully you don't lose speed and momentum as the horse goes down the track. That's really the entire thing. So then on top of that, on top of the good premise, you want good writing, interesting stories, and then a really good supporting cast. So those are the things that I would look for in a show. So what are the elements that Fallout had that ticks those boxes? Well, you've got a lead female character that I've never heard of, never seen. So she's got to be really, really good, like Linda Carter good, but she's not. She's okay. She might grow on me. She's certainly cute enough, but she doesn't give me the those star vibes. Your one well-known cast member, which is MacLeod. Kyle MacLeod. Well, okay, sorry, spoilers, everyone. Might need to put spoilers up.
I don't think anybody cares.
He disappears. He gets kidnapped. So I don't know when he comes back in the rest of the series. And then you've got Mr. Goggins, who is the ghoul, and he's certainly excellent in it. So, and the rest of the cast is actually not particularly good. And then the other lead, who is part of the Brotherhood of Steel, he's dull as dishwater. So I don't know how or why they hired that person, what they saw in him. Maybe he will grow on me in the rest of the show, but he certainly didn't grab me right from the beginning. And the first episode hones to the Fallout premise fairly well. At least the beginning of it does, the big wedding scene, which never existed in the game, but I don't care. I mean, there's two thoughts when you're doing a video game transfer to TV. One, you take the stories that are in the game and then move them over to TV like they did with The Last of Us. Because the gaming community is just a subset of the normie community. The normie community is much bigger. So the idea that you transfer an idea or you don't transfer an idea is really based on just how good the idea is and whether it's going to entertain the audience. So in the case of Fallout, what they've done is decided that it's a whole new, Fallout 5, basically, and they've given us a new story. That's fine, which maybe is going to be of much more interest to existing Fallout players because they don't want to see the same scenarios that they've already played 100,000 times. So there's some logic to that. It starts off okay. It has the nice Fallout sarcasm. It's got that tongue-in-cheek 1950s not sepia tone, but brightly colored feel to it. The world has gone through a nuclear holocaust, and now everybody has to be happy underground in all these vaults. And it's a very tongue-in-cheek game, and they do a fairly good job of it whenever they're dealing with in-vault activity. But anytime they went to for instance, the Brotherhood of Steel, it became horrible. It was boring. It was like the dumbest stuff that it was very badly written. I don't know what they were thinking, but if you thought that was badly written, then you just have to go to the last part, which was the resurrection of the Ghoul. And if you know the game, you'll know who he is. And it was the worst Ed Wood style imitation. It was the Apple Dumpling Gang, but worse. It was just amateurish. They spent $2 on it. It was absolutely the worst, dumbest thing that I could possibly imagine. So I don't know what they did. They gave the opening part to good writers, and then the last parts of it to bad writers. I have no idea. But I mean, the game is very suffuse with assorted casting that you would not normally see, but because it's Prime, they're going to do it. It's passable. I gave the show just the barest of yes, let's go ahead, but you better make the rest of the series work or you're fired. It's okay.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah. It's okay. I mean, I found it, I'm sure, listen, pilots, the first shows are always the most difficult. Whenever you write a pilot, and I've written many sitcom pilots, the premise is start with episode 5, because your first episode is always shit. So try to think of what episode 5 is going to be like, because that's going to be the good one. Don't write the crappy first one, because it's going to be crappy. You're introducing characters and you don't know what you're doing and you haven't figured it out. So that's what this first episode kind of feels like. I think they'll get their act together. That's put it this way. One of my main criteria is, do I want to see the second show? Yes, but just barely. So we'll see where it takes me.
Okay, that's interesting, because Mr. H was very positive based on, I think, the first episode was that he had seen. Now, I haven't seen any of it so far, and I have never played the game. And that actually is something of a strength to me, because that means I don't have the game to compare it to, so I can assess it more on the show on its own. I'm not saying that's how it should be. Ideally, if you really want to succeed, you just have to embrace the source material so that you please the hardcore fans. And if you succeed in that, and you've done it right, you should also please the normie audience and to bring them in as well. If you think you can do one but not the other, you're already on the wrong foot here. Like me, my big interest is that it has Walton Goggins, who is one of my favorite actors. Like, there's very few people where I will see everything that they are in because they're in it. But Walton Goggins is like that. I'll see anything that he's in because he'll always elevate everything.
Yep.
And
I called him Walter Goggins by mistake, so I'm getting killed for that.
Well,
Walton. I apologize to you, Walton, my good friend. Next time we meet, at the Bel Air.
I do have to try
apologize
to arrange an interview with him at one point, because he's just such a great actor.
He seems like a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy, perfect for the role. And the show imbues enough of the feeling of Fallout,
Yeah,
that will make it unique. But the writing is wildly uneven.
so basically there's room for improvement, but the fundamentals are there.
Yes, nicely put.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. Very glad to hear that. And hopefully Amazon will be able to fix that in season 2. And just,
Well, I mean, maybe even the second episode. I'm going to watch the rest and then give my final verdict.
yeah.
So I'm
Or
again,
the second episode even. Yeah, I'm
haven't even seen the
hopeful
second
for the entire season, and I look forward to checking it out.
yeah, it's tough to. I sympathize with anyone trying to crank out that first episode. It's really, really hard.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.